So, Tegan, what are decision makers doing at COP26 to tackle forest protection and the climate?
So, one of the first things that actually came out of the COP this year was an agreement between over 100 countries to tackle deforestation globally, which had some promising language and ambition around really recognizing the value that forests have for fighting the climate crisis. If we're actually going to be successful in mitigating climate catastrophe, we really need to protect forests, keep forests standing, and restore forest ecosystems. So there's some indication that world leaders want to see this happen. Of course, a lot more needs to be done, and we need to see a lot more solid commitments moving forward.
And so, where are decision makers falling short, and what could they do about it?
Yeah, one of the key places where decision makers are really falling short is on those concrete commitments and also on what they're actually committing to. So, for instance, on the agreement on deforestation, Canada doesn't consider itself to be really in that crowd because Canada doesn't consider the type of logging that happens to be deforestation because they go in and they plant trees again. We all know that you can't regrow an old growth forest. That kind of forest destruction is terrible for the climate. So we really need to see leaders like Canada accept the role that they have as countries in actually tackling forest destruction and protecting forests in the north as well as in the global south as part of a climate solution.
And so, how is Stand involved in addressing this issue?
So Stand has a number of forest campaigns around the world. I think really notably, we do a lot of our work in Canada and so-called British Columbia around protecting old growth forests. So what we're really trying to bring to leaders in Glasgow is this recognition that Canada needs to really step up and do more on forest protection, and that means protecting old growth in British Columbia, and it also means making sure that forests in Canada aren't turned into biomass fuel and shipped to the UK and Japan and other countries to burn for electricity generation as a so called green fuel. So we want to see Canada step into its leadership roles around protecting forests in these spaces and also around changing the conversations around green energy that are allowing forests to be burned in place of coal.
And for people at home, what could they do about it?
There are so many things that people at home can do, and I think a lot of the most hopeful and exciting things we're seeing happening around forests are all of the things being led by Indigenous peoples and Indigenous nations and civil society, people stepping up, taking to the streets to speak up for forests and putting that pressure on elected decision makers. So that's exactly what people at home need to keep doing because decision makers when they're at COP are worried about their constituents back home seeing what they're doing and knowing it's not enough. And so sign petitions, of course, write letters, make meetings with your MLAs, your MPs, your MPPs, wherever you are in the country, and also organize locally. Organize for forests, step up for forests, and we could actually see some positive movement globally around protecting forests.